Okay, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. Thank you everyone for coming. This is the meeting of the Jackson County Zoning Commission called to order. This is a joint work session with the Jackson County Board of Supervisors regarding the draft high-density computing facilities ordinance. Today's date is Monday, June 15th, 2026, and the time is 7:01 p.m. right now. As meetings held in the community room at Jackson County Courthouse, 201 West Platte Street, Wauconda, Iowa, with optional Zoom access also available. We'll begin the meeting with a roll call of the commissioners. You do that for us, please.
Mike Burke.
Here.
Monica McHugh.
Here.
Sandra Gerlach. Here. Emerita Keith.
Here.
Christine Bobb. Here. Tom Stewart.
Yes.
Brian Venema.
Here.
Okay, we'll also recognize the members of the Board of Supervisors.
Nan Flegel.
Mike Steinitz.
Don Swinkert.
And I guess also present are some county staff and members of, and of course, the members of the public. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries. Okay, the purpose of the meeting is, before we begin discussion, I want to clarify the purpose of tonight's meeting. This is a joint work session between the Jackson County Zoning Commission and the Jackson County Board of Supervisors to discuss the draft high-density computing facilities ordinance. These facilities may also be referred to as data centers, data processing facilities, data mining facilities, or high-density computing facilities. Tonight's meeting is not about a specific proposed site or pending application. The zoning department is not aware of any pending HDCFs or data center application or proposed location in Jackson County at this time. This is also not a formal public hearing. No final recommendation or adoption of the ordinance will occur tonight. The purpose of this work session is to review the current draft, discuss proposed standards, receive public input, and identify any additional direction before the zoning commission considers a formal recommendation at a future meeting. The draft is still subject to revision. So we have been working on this draft since last November.
Longer than that.
Right.
That's last November.
Okay, so we've had, is this our 5th or 6th meeting? Because we've had a couple meetings canceled because of weather and other situations.
November 17th, December 15th. January was
Canceled.
canceled.
Weather.
February 16th, March 16th was canceled.
Short.
April 20th. May 18th and tonight.
Okay. So anyone wishing to speak during the public comment section should sign in on the speaker sign-in sheet. We will call speakers from the sign-in sheet first. After everyone on the speaker list has had an opportunity to speak, we will ask whether anyone else wishes to provide public comment. When you come to the podium, please state your name and your city, or township, or general area for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. We will time you so that everyone has an opportunity to speak, and you will only be able to speak once. 1 3-minute time slot. If a point has already been made and you agree with it, you are welcome to just simply state that you agree with the prior comment and then add anything new you would like the commission or board to consider. Please try to avoid repeating the same comments so we can hear as many different concerns or questions or suggestions as possible. The commission and board may not respond to every comment tonight. We will not respond to every comment tonight. Should be a better way to put that. Comments will be received as part of the work session discussion and may help guide future revisions. So Are we gonna go right? Which, according to our agenda, we're going to do the joint work session first, is that right? Okay, so put off the public hearing till later in the meeting. So we're gonna start, and during this part of the meeting, we will have, no comments from the public, please remain, quiet so we can get our business done. The joint work session is on the draft of the high density computing facility ordinance. So Becca, will you give us a review of the current draft ordinance, please?
Some background. Also, there are restrooms in the hallway. They have signs if you need the restrooms. In early 2025, the zoning commission reviewed a site-specific request involving a proposed data processing data mining facility. During that process, the commission received public comment and heard concerns about location, setbacks, proximity to homes, noise, fire risk, electricity demand, environmental impacts, e-waste, water-related concerns, cleanup, decommissioning, and whether this type of use belongs in an agricultural area. Those concerns helped shape the draft ordinance now being discussed. The draft data center, data mining, data processing ordinance has also appeared on publicly noticed zoning commission agendas and work session notices over several months. Some scheduled meetings were canceled due to weather, but the notices were still published. The joint work session is now being held before any formal recommendation for adoption, as that will happen at a future meeting.
Okay, so we'll have a discussion of the proposed ordinance standards, including siting, setbacks, water use, noise, infrastructure, emergency access, road use, and decommissioning. How do we want to go about this, folks?
Have
You want to read?
the supervisors, have you all had the chance to go through and read the draft?
Did.
And make,
Yeah.
okay,
Why don't we have you point out anything that you have concerns about?
The only
Because I
thing,
think most of us know what's in here.
one of the things that I thought about, and I had mentioned it in the past, is when they talk about electrical usage and utilities, utilizing capacity of the utilities. I didn't know if there was a way where we could tap and set a reserve. Well, I didn't want them to come in and utilize up to about 97% of what the lines can hold. Because if they do that, they can't, without expanding the utility grid, we can't allow for any economic growth. So I'd like a reserve capacity of maybe 20 or 30% to allow for future growth if they do come to town. I didn't read that in the ordinance. I didn't know if that's something that the utilities would have to work on, or how would that work?
Don, we talked a little bit about that and with the purpose of the zoning, because we're looking at land use and we really can't dictate to private electric utilities what restrictions are. That would be something that potentially the Board of Supervisors could put in, but it doesn't fall within the scope of what the zoning board is for.
I'd have to think about that.
I mean, because that's a major thing. You want the community to be able to grow, and if somebody's looking at coming here and all of our utilities are used up, they're not gonna come here because it's gonna be a 3-year process or whatever. I don't know the exact time frame. I'm not an electrician by no means, or major utilities, but when they're looking now and they want the answers. They don't wanna wait 3 years for this new hub to get substation upgrade or a new substation spot to be put in for them to come in. So then we're gonna lose people. And that's a major concern. I mean,
Well,
yeah, we
but
don't have a ton now.
I don't disagree with you on that, but the zoning board's purpose is land use. We can't dictate on utilities. That's not within the scope of what the zoning board is for.
they can add it.
So we do have in there, you also have in there in section 8, section 9, utility, that they have to. Give us their proposed maximum electrical service load that they're gonna need. They have to give
Yes.
us the max load, and so, I would guess we can. If that's what we're gonna say, that is their max load, then can we cut them off? If they use more than that, or what? I mean, what's the process
So-
after that?
Does, the board of supervisors doesn't control the utilities though?
No. But it says they have to provide, what they include as the proposed maximum electrical service load that they're gonna use. I mean, I really like it. There's a lot of provisions in here that, are really deep. I know I've had some calls and some comments about some setbacks. I guess, what we've heard from, whether it be the state or from other counties or legislators, if you will, if everyone continues. Obviously, this AI and this stuff is coming. If we get behind the 8 ball, it might not affect us as much as our grandchildren or their children. I don't know. I'm here to learn, but that's where, when I read this, it's very well written.
I guess one question I would have, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. With our other ordinance, we kind of went with property lines, but this one, then we have tied in here from occupied structure. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be cleaner to have property lines.
We do have a
We
property.
do have
line.
property
Yeah,
lines.
it's- property line, yeah.
Whatever,
It's 500 feet, property line, 1,000 feet from an occupied structure.
Correct.
So
whichever three, right?
both
Both.
are considered both. It has to be 500 feet from their property line.
Right.
Plus, it has to be 1,000 feet from an occupied structure.
Good.
Okay. So the property line. That's 500 feet away, and there's a house right on the inside of that property line that it can't have. That's what we're saying. The house or occupied structure. Listed there has to be 1,000 feet.
It
According to
just-
what we have wrote here now, 1,000 feet from the building
Right.
that's houses the high density community facility.
I would rather see from.
What's that?
I would rather see 1,000 feet from the property line, because people can change what they're doing on their property too at any point in time. You may decide that, my son wants to build a house on our property, so then,
But he's gonna build that after the facility is built. Okay,
right, but you're
So he's-
limiting where that can be more.
so he knows he's gonna be too close to the facility.
Again,
Is what,
just my,
I'm
my
just
opinion
looking
of
at
what I would,
what the
Right.
what the ordinance, draft ordinance says.
right,
So they know that ahead of time, because it will be in effect. Right?
right, but it's just limiting that property owner somewhat.
It is, yeah.
So in that case scenario, Mike. What I'm hearing is. If he builds closer to what the ordinance says, he may have to get a variance before he can get it from that.
Yeah.
Well, that depends, because if it's ag related, you have to remember, they don't have to get a variance. If you've got a farm, they can build the house without any variance. Because we don't require a permit.
For the residents, we don't.
Nope.
Just-
If they separate it off, they would.
If it's less than 10 acres.
Just want to say that ultimately, it's your guys' decision, so if that's, if the setbacks aren't enough, I can understand, that part of it. A lot of this, we mirrored, or not all of it, but we tried to mirror what we did with the wind ordinance, so we were consistent. And so if you're uncomfortable with some of these, distances that we've set up, that's your prerogative to go ahead and change that.
And then another one that I had kind of a question on too is the vibration limit timeline.
AGI.
11. Well,
Yeah,
cause you went until 10 p.m. That they can have a greater measurement.
So the daytime hours and the nighttime hours change, the level changes from daytime hours to night.
I was just kind of curious on what made 10 p.m. be the magic number. I'm thinking of people when they're putting their kids down to bed. You know, kids are going to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock, that maybe, you know, if you did a kind of a 12-hour workday and then a 12-hour night, that might be a more reasonable.
Possible, yep.
what was the logic or when coming up with 7, 8 to 10 p.m.?
I don't remember, but I'm gonna guess that a lot of this used a previous ordinance that we did some use for a guideline, and that was probably what was in that one. And we just stayed with it. I don't remember discussion on the time periods on that.
I don't either.
So I could see where a lot of those kind of companies will kind of spin up at night because those are also cheaper electrical rates and things like that. So it'd be a cost saving thing for both. So I can understand, but it just 10 p.m. is kind of late.
But their noise that they can,
So are you guys looking at this correctly? The louder is the 0.3 during the daytime hours
Right,
from
yeah.
7
Yeah.
so it's half of what's at night.
and it's half at night.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm just wondering time-wise, so I'm wondering, you know, instead of saying they gotta kind of quiet down at night, which I agree, but should it be a little earlier in the night?
Well, this is only for vibration. This isn't for sound.
Right,
Okay, just so we know where that's quiet.
Right.
When we talk
but
quiet.
that's,
So
We're
that's,
I'm talking full ball of wax, really, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we're not-
sound and
We're
vibration,
not
I
talking
mean,
sound,
because,
we're talking vibration on
You know.
this particular thing.
right,
I mean, personally, I don't have a problem moving the times. I don't.
Because much like we learned with the wind ordinance, a lot of the setbacks that were given compared to what people in the community wanted were small, shorter, and it was because of they had to be kind of like justified. You can't arbitrarily pick a number, you know, so that's how they came up to 1,300 feet, you know, instead of the 3 miles and all that kind of stuff. The question is, what made you choose those times? Was that kind of consideration in play determines whether we can tweak it or not. So that's the question.
Becca, was that in the vibration standards?
Was that?
Is that
Was that
why we
just
put
in-
it that way? Cause I don't remember talking.
I know,
about
I'm just
times
looking
either.
up to see if there was like a standard night time. Cause I don't remember.
I
the
mean,
discussion of
because
that.
for me being an adult, yeah, 10 o'clock at night, that's a standard time, but I'm thinking of families with kids. Well, I could too some nights, no, but family with kids, I mean, I know my grandkids are at 7:30, 8 o'clock on a school night, they're
Yeah,
trying to get people settled down, so.
I guess, you know, as far as the setbacks were considered, I know you cleared some of them or plagiarized some of them, but, I guess it's a little different animal than a 700-foot tower. You know, with the fall distance, if you will, and whatnot, this looked like a manufacturing plant or a cement building per se. So they're not near as tall and obvious. Again, the biggest concerns would be, for me, is the utilities and the water usage. To protect our natural resources, as far as that's what we're trying to do here.
Well, but not every data center uses water to be cooled. The application that we had before us that started this off was an air-cooled system.
Right.
Which is
So-
what gives you the noise.
So, which is, I know we were looking at the noise. I would be curious, I know there's been a data center in Monticello for over 20 years. And I toured it years ago. And I know they don't use water for cooling. But I would be curious what the noise limits and things are around there. Is that something, Becky, you could check with Jones County on?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay. Or it might be just, I can't remember if it's in the city of Monticello or if it's outside the city limits.
So Manchester's got one in their industrial park too, correct?
I think they do. I think I heard that.
I know they passed it last year that they were putting one up in industrial park, I believe, Delaware. The one that's-
I mean, by and large, it's a
So it's
If
not
it-
in the
if you're
county.
thinking the same one.
I bet it is. Kind of looks like house.
Is that like in Manchester though, or Delaware County?
I think it's in Manchester in their industrial park.
Yeah, we're not used to water.
Right, so
Right.
we're worried about
Yeah,
safety of
we're-
water,
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah,
clarify.
we really don't have to worry about water usage issue because we're closed loop home.
Yeah, I see.
closed loop only facility where they have to be in a building. It's not gonna be storage units, you know, those shipping container, not a data
It's
facility.
gotta be
Right.
yeah, it's gotta be a
standing
building. You know,
Right.
There's a lot of provisions,
No portable buildings.
in this ordinance that make it palatable as long as we know how to protect ourselves. This ordinance goes a fair piece towards doing that. Like I say, it's just a couple little fine tunings. It's something that, I mean, I know reading the Facebook chatter that was circulating around over the past several weeks, everybody's just said no. The problem with saying that without valid justification is the state will override it. If you use arbitrarily unrealistic setbacks and restrictions, the state will override that. They're in the process of still trying to do that with the wind ordinance. For the last 2 years, they've been trying to change the setbacks and cut them way back. What we included with the wind ordinance was sinkholes. Things like that, that had sound logic and science behind it, that the state even agreed, yes, those are legit. So throwing out arbitrary numbers or just saying, no, we'll get you trumped. And they will override it. So this is a way to protect ourselves the best we can and set the table the best we can. So that'll least likely to happen. And again, I just want to stress for those, this is for unincorporated Jackson County. We do not have jurisdiction inside an incorporated city. So just throwing that out there.
And Don, kind of to your point, everybody in here, I'm sure, discovered this meeting on Facebook. The irony is a data center was used to provide that information to you. So data centers are already out there. I know when I worked for IBM, some of the projects that I managed, there's data centers all over. So I understand the concern with the large ones and the water usage. We're trying to protect Jackson County and trying to make sure that our resources are covered. But eventually, I won't say that there will be a facility in Jackson County. I'm not sure that there would be any area that anybody would like. But the data centers are already out there and they're already being used.
What if you just look at where they're looking at proposed, Dubuque County, they're looking, you're hearing Clinton County, Cedar Rapids. They're surrounding us. So,
Flatlands
yeah,
for
So
large
there-
ones.
this is our way to try to protect ourselves from what's coming the best we can. Knowing that if we say no, the state can and probably will just say, no, you can't. So
Other than maybe asking the county attorney of a few words of shall or may, I really think it's written well. I want to thank the commission for the work they've done. I know it was not easy. I've had a little bit of input here and there with Rebecca over the last 6 months and different articles that I read, I sent to her, and we always take a bit and piece out of it, but I really want to commend you people for what you did.
Been a lot of time and effort.
If you look at the last 2 years with the wind ordinance, now we're doing data centers, that still leaves solar and battery storage on the plate. We should find a way to double your salary or something.
That's zero.
Well, it's a thought that counts, is what I would say, you know. But it is a hard job, the research, the investigation, to try to come up, to looking at different things, to come up with a good, solid piece of legislation that can actually protect us and have it not overridden. It's very difficult to do, so thank you.
We don't wanna be in a lawsuit situation like some of the other counties are,
Mhm.
so. We need to be mindful of that. And also make sure that what we have here is protected.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm okay with it, Mike, and.
One more thing.
Yep.
And this is very petty, but it's just in me reading through this in section, like page 12. I would like to see item number 5, maybe move to like, or unless you guys have a specific reason it's there, move that to 1.
Item 5, what?
So on page 12, where it's talking about,
Vibration.
well, and if there's a couple different spots, there's a vibration and there's some other one where it's going through and it talks about like Jackson County at any time can request these. Page 11, number
Okay,
2.
that helps.
But then, so as I'm reading through this, though. So number 2 says that additional vibration testing can be done on the county, and when I was reading through this, I'm like, why is the county being responsible for all of this? But then we go back here to number 5 and say that the vibration testing and reporting requirement under section 5 shall be the sole expense of the facility.
Number 2 says additional vibration testing may be required by the county.
Right,
It doesn't say that the county
We'll pay
may
for it.
right, but that's where I'm going. My first key is, why is the county responsible for this? Where if we put line number 5 first, that says that the owner operator of this facility is responsible for all testing.
Yeah.
That might,
That's what we're saying. If you get a complaint, the county can tell them that they need to do another test
At their expense.
at their expense.
I get that, but I'm just wondering if we move item 5 to number 1, it would spell it out a little clearer that it's at, any testing is at their expense. And again, maybe I'm just,
You mean putting that
It-
up front?
I think
So
it's-
that first.
I think your point is well taken, that
I understand what
you
you're
want to
saying.
put more of an emphasis on the vibration and the testing.
and
Just
there's
to make sure that it-
another testing in here besides the vibration that it talked
Yeah,
about that.
right.
Too. I'm just, and it was number 5 on the list there too, and I'm just thinking that should maybe be up front.
Okay, I see.
And again, like I said, it could be petty, but I think it's needs to stand out that if the, you know, especially when, you know, we could be doing testing because of their violation.
Good.
So, in number 1 does say at their sole expense. The facility owner and operator, is that, I mean, do you still think something more needs to be added or just add something to that? But number 1 on page 11,
But then that goes into talk about your baseline testing and things like that.
That is under, so number 1 on page 10, the facility owner and operator shall at their sole expense provide : and then it goes into all of the ones that they're required.
it's page 11, actually, not the
I think we can clear up the semantics a little bit. I think for the most part, we should get to the public input portions.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's also, but it's also under here.
I guess, yeah, we're here to learn and listen and,
But
do the best we can.
that way.
I think it's well written and I get it.
Think you guys are okay with it? And I mean, is there anything that you want specifically changed right now so that
Yeah, it's under.
it doesn't go to
It's
you
under
and then
each
has to
section.
back to us kind of, that we change?
Other than,
A few things like the times,
Well, there may be, but that'll be at the next meeting.
Right,
well, like we mentioned, the times and you guys can change it, so,
Okay, but
I mean, you could
you would
just
like,
by and large, it's
you would like to
very,
see the times change, is what you're
change the
you know,
time.
cut back to at least 8 o'clock.
And combine some of 1 and 5 together,
Right.
if you want, I mean, if that, you can do that.
But I think we need to open up public comments.
They put down, you
We're shutting forward by the minute.
So I, will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Public comment.
I'll
Yeah, we're not
second.
having a public hearing.
Wait a minute, no, we're not.
I
We
apologize.
actually don't need to, we don't need to vote on it.
Just public comment. Okay, so during the public comment, it'll be just the public that speaks. None of us up here will speak, so that we don't get into discussions of the whole thing and drag this out. We will take their comments into consideration and deal with it at our next meeting. Okay? So you can ask questions, which we will not get an answer tonight, okay, from us. So with that, we'll get a sign up sheet?
Yep.
Okay, you got the roll call in, Becca.
Rhonda Rowan. Rowan, sorry. Yes, thank you.
My name is Rhonda Rowan, Springville, Iowa. And, my husband and I have been coming to these meetings ever since last February. Because the first data mine that was going to be in Jackson County proposed was 500 feet, about what, 500, 700 feet from our house,
Well, between 500 and 600 feet
from our
from the
house.
corner.
And ever since, and we've had great interest in this, like, a lady my age should not have to know about algorithms and setbacks and all this stuff. But we've come to the meetings, every meeting, we've been with these people, and we got their back. They've done an excellent job. They've taken to heart all of our concerns and questions regularly. Becca has included us in letting us know when the meeting has been canceled, because she knows that we're here. And I don't understand, we've been here for over a year. And in that year, there have been two, that fellow right there and me, sitting in chairs. All of a sudden, it's become an issue. Jackson County has been proactive, very proactive with this. And they have done a very, very good job, and they have done their due diligence in this ordinance. So I just wanted to say, thank you, Pete, thank you all for the job that you have done. And we appreciate all your hard work.
Thanks, Rhonda. You're right.
Randy?
Randy Rowan, Springville. Just to add what my wife said, and thank you guys for doing all the work that you did. You guys did a bang up job. I'm kind of with Nan here. I'd like, the more setback back, the better, is what we'd like to see. You know, they're at 1,000 feet from an inhabited structure. I'd like to see that a quarter mile. You know, 1,300 some feet, or to Nin's point, 1,000 feet from a property line. There's no one here that wants one of these 1,000 feet from their house, I don't think. I don't know that anyone here would want that. Especially not between 500 and 600 feet from the house, which, you know, now you're at 1,000. I'd like to see a little bit more than that. And in 7A, can we pull that back up? It's the one about the where it says, yeah.
Shall you, yeah. Page 12, 7, 8, like.
Yeah.
Shall utilize, HEF shall utilize air cooled or closed loop. Did you say, Mike, that it was supposed to be only closed loop? I know you're not supposed to talk.
For water. For water.
So if it's air cooled or closed loop, your air cooled is. They're gonna want that because that's the cheapest route. They don't have to drill a well. They don't have to have, the closed loop is more expensive and quieter. The air cooled one that's with your big barn fans times 30, whatever. And my wife and I went and listened to those with decibel meters. And they're loud, they're really loud. That would be my, thing that I would take a look at.
You're asking to strike the air cooled? Just that's what the intent was.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, closed loop is gonna, that's the more expensive route and stuff, but it's also gonna be fun. And then the setbacks, if that could be considered, then I would sure entertain that idea.
Thank you, guys. Yep.
Levi,
Levi Dillon, Bruce Laughlin, Coconut. Honestly, I wanted to reiterate what they said, and Mike said it too. This is like amazing. Like whoever drew this up, this is, can't wait to go home. And actually like sit down and read this, because clearly somebody put some thought to it. I have really just a really stupid, one little bit of soundbite. Our town motto is Macokota, one of a kind. This data center just makes us like everyone else. Have a good night. Go.
that is all that is signed up to speak. Was there anyone else that would like to speak at this time?
Hi, Laura Beebe, Macokota, and maybe I'm not understanding something. But I'm looking at this, and even if the company pays the electricity, they're gonna have to have other infrastructure to bring that kind of electricity in here. Who's gonna pay for it? I don't wanna get stuck paying the utility company to bring other electricity in, and I don't want my electric to go up because of it. And so in future things, I'd like to have you address who's going to be paying for that, even though it says that they can only use a certain amount. And the private company can say, well, we need more infrastructure. I want to know who's going to pay for it. And with the cooling system on that closed water, where does all that water come from? And if it doesn't affect us now, how does it affect us in 5 years? And how does it affect the atmosphere as it's evaporating off? There's just certain questions that I don't know exactly how it works. And it talks about in here, the disposal of, computer things were out. Are they going in our landfill? Where are they going? Those are just some questions that I have, and I know you can't answer them now, but those are some questions that I have. Thank you.
Someone else? What was your first name? Sir Laurel. Laurel.
Hi, Ben Davison. I'm here in Macokota, and I'd like to also thank everybody for this ordinance. It's fantastic. I've been happy to read through its changes over the last couple months. My only comment is section 12F. Given that the WEX ordinance has sort of set something of a standard of a referent for this ordinance here, I think that the protection of the scenic byways viewshed should be a little bit more strict to sort of reflect what exists in the WEX ordinance, or at the very least should be more prescriptive. There's a lot of mays in there, and I believe that there should be more shalls, that it is a duty, not just an option for the county to protect the viewshed of the byway. Thank you.
We have somebody online that would like to speak. Jay, could you unmute and state your name?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Nick Darrow. Yeah, I'm curious about enforcement of these ordinances. We've seen several examples of these data center companies just doing what they want and blatantly disregarding the ordinances that did exist, and then the repercussions are minimal. The company that's building the data center in Cedar Rapids right now, they just got in trouble for drilling unpermitted wells, and then that same company previously in Georgia got in trouble for stealing roughly 30 million gallons of water. And the repercussions they faced were they had to pay back the water they stole, and that was it. So they just had to pay for what they used. There's no decentivizing of them breaking rules. And I'm curious, if I haven't been able to read through the whole draft, but it looks like there might be some of that missing. So the defining what the repercussions are if they break the rules, what are those? And then it would be really good if they were hefty enough to keep them from, to follow the rules, of course. Again, we've seen something similar with the Colossus data center for Grok, Elon Musk's xAI's data center. They couldn't meet the power, or they couldn't, the local grid couldn't meet the power requirements of the place. So they just set up natural gas power plants and are in litigation now about breaking the Clean Air Act. So just curious if we could get more information on the or what piece of it. What are we really protecting ourselves, or are we just putting down words that give them guidelines, but not really any repercussions?
Thank you, Nick. Could you state your area?
That's all I have.
Also,
Yep. Sorry.
I'm sorry, could you state the area or city, township that you're from for the record, please?
South Fork.
Thank you.
South Fork. Yep.
Anyone else here, sir?
Yeah, just a few questions. Steve DeMoss from Jackson County on land here and stuff, but can you put a guarantee it will never cost taxpayers any money or owners? And before you actually do anything, they probably need more education on, before anything's decided, I think it should be brought to a vote in the county. That's it.
Is there anyone else in here?
Me, I'm Angie Pettit, the third, I'm there in Macokota, and I too would like to thank everyone for the amount of time and the due diligence that you've put in to researching. And I appreciate the opportunity for us to speak. So whether you've had the commitment for over a year or someone told you about this meeting, not via Facebook, and you decided to be involved, it's our right to still ask questions and request an explanation around things that will impact us. So to Nim's point about the noise, maybe it feels small, but it's very important that it's clear where the liability and the responsibility lies to pay for those things, not just because there's a complaint, but it needs to be upfront. I think to your point earlier, if a data center comes in and puts us at 80% or 85% capacity of resources, that locks us out of truly, maybe good opportunities that are really better investments long-term for Macokota and surrounding areas. And so I think that's why it's important to consider each of the things that may seem petty or small, but that make sure that we're putting ourselves in a place to have a viable ordinance, as Don said, that isn't overturned, but that protects people's quality of life, that includes but isn't limited to natural resources. It's natural resources, job availability, opportunities for other businesses. And so, I'm seeing some of the comments, about setbacks, we need to be reasonable. but also do so in a way that protects some of the things that are our quality of life in this area. So that's kind of my concern. I'm getting to know some of this as well. And sadly, was not aware of it a year ago. I did not find out about this via Facebook. And I guess I have to say that just because someone utilizes conveniences of things like AI, doesn't mean it's inevitable that we have to accept that that's part of our structure of government. So I think it's important, you know, that we go through this work. And again, thank you all for kind of what you've raised, and clearly there's a lot of interest, you know, in continuing the discussion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah. Sir.
My name is Wayne Kohlenberg. I live up in southern Dubuque County, right around the corner where this proposed data center they're trying to put in. It's like 500 acres of prime farm ground. There's major residential properties around this area. We've all had concerns with water, big issue in this world anymore. One of these days, you're gonna turn on the faucet and you're gonna get a bunch of mud coming out. Then what are you gonna do? Air quality, noise, and I know you guys are addressing a lot of this stuff, but these data centers come in, they're reckless. They don't care, okay, we'll just fire our way out of it. You know, 40 wells down there by Cedar Rapids, they drill without permits. They got a $10,000 fine. Property taxes, when they go around and pay these landowners the kind of money they're talking, our property taxes are gonna escalate. Our home values are gonna drop because who wants to live next to one of these things? I sure as heck don't. And there's a lot of environmental, you know, water, everything, you know, and why are they putting one in every corner almost? You know, Piasa's working on one, you guys down here now, Dubuque, Clinton, you go on and on. Everyone wants one all of a sudden. I don't get the input on all that. I guess what we have to do here is you guys got the ball rolling here, be careful what you allow. And enforcement is gonna be another story. It's not gonna be an easy thing, especially when they got the kind of money they have. You know, it's funny, you guys knew about this stuff for over a year now. Dubuque, we just started with the meetings up there a month ago. None of them people up there acted like, well, I guess we were sleeping late that morning. We didn't hear about it. Something's going on. And you go up there, well, they kind of hee-haw around. Wait a second here. We need some answers, you know? And the longer they let it go, the worse it's gonna get until they get something concrete. You guys gotta start here. I know there's some areas here that everybody's not gonna agree on. We're not gonna get everybody to agree on everything to start with anyway, but and what size? When they come up there and want to buy 500 acres of farm ground, well, they're gonna get a start there. What are they gonna do? Keep expanding? You know, right to the south edge, yeah, they got a major feedlot operation there. What kind of impact is it gonna have when any livestock, talk about not only human beings, but it goes on and on. So I think people are entitled to their free clean air and everything. They shouldn't have to be living with a machine next door.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have anybody in the room?
They are.
Larry Daler.
Say it again.
I'm sorry. Excuse me?
Your name again, please.
Larry Daler. Right. All this should be put to a Jackson County vote. You guys shouldn't make this decision.
And well, anyone else in here while we wait for Rebecca to come back from the other room? Okay, so we've heard from everyone that wants to speak. I guess we can close the public comment. Oh, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
We can't sing.
I can't see.
I know.
Yeah, she can read them if there's something there, yeah, fine. Good.
Everybody else can see them, but we can't.
How about I just read them?
Yeah.
Sean Vasquez says, I appreciate all of the work the committee has done and hope it sees fit to have more work sessions. Megan Frenkamp. We'll start at the top. Andrew Geisman says, considering there is growing concern just miles north of the Jackson County line, Jackson County should be considering a moratorium until such time that the ordinance can be installed. Andrew goes on to say setback should be 1,000 foot from property line. The noise and vibrations coming from data centers is far different from that of renewable energy sources. Andrew says, absolutely agree that penalties need to be strict. Your efforts to be proactive with this issue is commendable. If penalties do not prevent violations, those efforts would be for naught. Megan Trenkamp agrees. Thank you, Nick, for mentioning that. That was my concern as well. After researching QTS, there is a real issue with trust. What happens when, not if, a company violates the ordinances? So those are the comments from the Zoom.
Okay.
Hearing some of those with I know there is some penalties in the ordinance, maybe we could look at seeing that maybe it's proportional to the crime, so to speak.
We're also going to update our penalties and tie all of this into one ordinance with the penalties. Because this came up with the wind as well, and that is something that we will be revising. So yes, there will be additional penalties for things.
We do currently have a moratorium on the data center, data processing, data mining until it runs out the end of August of 2026. If the ordinance has not been drafted, I can approach the Board of Supervisors to get the moratorium extended.
Does anybody else have any more discussion on the comments that we heard from the public?
Lisa, do you want to talk about what it will take? We've heard a couple of people say we should vote on it, the county citizen should vote on it. The steps of what it will take, it's not just something that can be added on the ballot. There's legal steps that need to.
That's a legally permitted vote.
Good.
But I would say that based on what, previous elections and such, and it's very clear what you can vote on and what you cannot. I do not believe that this would be one thing that you could vote on.
Is that something we can seek clarification on?
Oh, definitely.
We'll talk with the county attorney.
I mean, I until just a little bit of so yes, we can do further research, but I would say that I know that there was another adjoining county that wanted to have an election and the state looked at it as like an opinion poll.
Is a what?
Like an opinion poll.
And yeah, and just to kind of reiterate, we don't have anything in front of the board. Becca hasn't received anything. When we first got the bit mining that was proposed out by the Rowans property is when we knew we needed to do something, and we denied that application. And when that came to us, we knew we needed to move ahead as quickly as possible on this ordinance. because we figured that there may be something coming. Like I said, we don't have anything. The Board of Supervisors graciously put a moratorium on it to give us time to work on this issue. I mean, we took 18 months to work on the wind turbine issue. So with that work that we did before, that helped us to create this ordinance.
Are we gonna go over this additional comment sheet that you asked out as well?
We can.
But I think it addresses some of the points that were made in the public comments too.
We're just gonna, I forgot to go.
Well, I think we did. I mean, I appreciate all the comments and the input and, you know, we're, like I said early on, we're learning also, so definitely, I am in favor of the pending situation and how it gets enforced. That's a legal issue, I would guess, so that has something to do with our county attorney also. But, again, there's points brought up here that, like Wayne had said, it addresses your quality of life, so. I mean, we're concerned about that. I live here just like you do, and I want my grandkids to live here, but I don't wanna sell them short and say, I have to move somewhere else, cause this is all that my life is entailed is AI. So I don't know nothing about it. I do not enough to be talking about it. So it's something that we have to look at, and I agree with a lot of comments that we, you know, as far as the time zone, yeah, maybe it makes sense from 7 to 7 and 7 to 7, you know, it's definitely concerns there. I mean, as far as us going to talk about it, I mean, I think we all agree we need to talk about them issues, probably.
Yeah.
Even the noise level, I mean, I know 50 decibels to keep off again. It's an air conditioner running or refrigerator running. But when you live in the rural community, you live there for a reason. I don't like town noise. Plain and simple. And today's a prime example. I had my grandkids all day. Them running around all day, yelling, screaming, playing, doing what kids do. By the end of the day, I'm like, ugh, if I had to live next to that 24/7. I'd be maybe in a padded room somewhere. I don't know, but you know, it's just, again, you live in the country. If I wanted to live at 50 decibel noise, I would live in a big city. I don't live there. I didn't like, no offense to people who live in the city of Macokota. The noise in Macokota, my daughter lives here in town. The noise of the cars going by on the street, to me, is like, you know, just something I'm not used to because I'm used to the country life. Yeah, we get the cows mooing and weeding times, but we all know that's minor, so. You know, so these are things I take very seriously when I'm looking at these things.
I don't know, 200 head of calves bawling when they've been weaned is not, that's more than annoying, trust me.
I know it's more than annoying, but you also know it's short-lived. It's not 24/7, 365 days.
Well, being somebody that lives in Macokota, to quote the Blues Brothers, it happens so often you don't even hear.
Yeah.
I know, and grain dryers and all that stuff. It's just things that you gotta balance, and it all depends. All the verbiage changes depending if we get somebody where they wanna go, how they wanna do, what system do they wanna use. All of that is variabilities, all to be determined. We're just having the base structure in place where we can make sure we're protected as best as possible.
Yeah, and the other, Sandra just brought up too, the other thing is, this is only outside the incorporated cities in Jackson County, so we have no idea what's going on in Bellevue, Andrew, Preston, Macokota, Springville, Springbrook. That's not, so we don't deal with any of that. This is just in the unincorporated areas. So if there is something, you need to be checking your city councils and talking with them.
And I encourage everybody, I mean, our way of communicating and getting things out there is very limited, you know. Obviously, the Roanoks found out because it was coming close to them. But, you know, we communicate through the paper, we communicate through KMAQ, you know,
Basically.
Facebook, you know, we put it on our website. The county really doesn't have much for like a Facebook notification. But we do put it on our websites and that's all of our meetings and anything that's going on. So if you want to stay up to date, what's going on in this community, because as we all know, it's changing quickly.
And we just got our website redone and you can sign up for notifications when a new meeting agenda is posted. It'll send you a notice saying, hey, there's something there. We'll let you know to go to look on it and it'll send you a link. Yeah, so it'll let you know, you can actually click on it, see exactly what it is. So if you're curious in the future, regardless of the topic, feel free to sign up to that and help keep you more
And what
informed.
actually is the website name?
jacksoncounty.iowa.gov.
Okay.
And as you're leaving tonight, when you go out the front door, I believe there's a sheet of paper hanging on there with one of them QR code things. You can sign up that way also. And if you don't do it tonight, it's been hanging there for a long time. You can do it someday. Bye.
I do have one question for everybody here. How many of you here read the draft ordinance before you came tonight? Okay, so we had a few. Good. Good. Thank you.
I'd be disappointed if you two hadn't read it.
You shouldn't have to read it.
I've
You
never
shouldn't have
asked.
to read it.
It's not an easy read.
No, it's not, you know, it's not.
Yeah, you guys did awesome.
It's not an easy ride.
Well, I personally want to thank the supervisors for giving us a great administrator. I mean, without Becca doing all this work, we wouldn't know, you know. Main cause behind it. So, you have anything else to go over, Becca?
Well, I would like to thank you all for all of the work that you all put in and being very supportive and attending these meetings and doing the research throughout, asking the hard questions and just making it get to be a better ordinance. So that it can be defendable and it can be just for Jackson County.
So Mike, a question and Becca, so what is the timeline now? I mean,
Yeah.
when are we gonna try to get this thing ready to pass it on to the supervisors?
Well, next meeting, we will take into consideration the thoughts that were stated tonight.
Right.
Also a little heads up for the next meeting, some other points that have been brought up. The applicability to unincorporated areas with the city authority, that might not be spelled out completely in the ordinance, so we're gonna look at putting that in. A little, maybe some more language with the Grantwood Scenic Byway with the view shed.
Right.
Clarifying the ordinance that it applies to true high-density computing facilities, not the ordinary office computers, small server rooms, live streaming equipment. Bringing that to a better point also. And just kind of wrapping up some of the county attorney concerns or any of their main points that we sent to them that we wanted reviewed and get their opinion on that. So we'll be doing July, August for sure.
Okay,
It's end of August that the moratorium runs out.
so yeah, that's why I was asking
If we
is,
still have
are
our.
we gonna get it done before the moratorium?
No, it's supposed to do it. And just know that when it comes to the supervisors, we have to pass an ordinance 3 times to be
Yeah.
official. And in doing so, we have to have at least one public hearing with the finished product. We can have more if it's a controversial topic and more people want to give input. But that is the process. Once we get the final product, then we have to take advantage, we have to take action on it 3 times. And for something like this, it will be 3 separate meetings. We will do 1 reading for 3 different meetings. So it won't be done. Sometimes when it's, okay, we're gonna set the holidays for next year, we'll waive Robert's Rules of Orders and pass all three readings right in a row in one meeting. This we will do once a week for 3 weeks, so it'll be 3 separate readings or 3 separate votes, 1 per week, so.
Tuesdays at 9 a.m.
Yep.
I encourage you guys all to go home. Do the light read. Let us know if you have questions, concerned. Comments. Cause we need to hear from you. I mean,
How do you do that?
you can call us, you can you can ask to be on the meeting agenda. You know, we always have a public comment section in our meeting, usually right at 9 a.m. So you can comment there.
On the website, our
On the
email
website,
addresses
yeah,
are listed on the website. We have cell phones, you know, we're not bashful of giving it out, so.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah, and yeah.
The
So,
ordinances on the website. I hope everybody got one.
maybe we can
But-
talk beyond it on the page.
That's the other thing that I also want to mention too. We're not required to put a draft ordinance out there. And so we chose to do that for transparency, but it's not required until a final ordinance is done. But we've tried to be as transparent as possible to let everybody know that this is what we're working on and it's in draft. So just please be aware of that as well. We don't want to hit the public with something that all of a sudden they say we didn't have any input on. So we're trying to be transparent and the supervisors are very accessible. And then for the zoning, Becca's the contact for us. And so that's the way that works as well.
And to add on to what Monica just said and what Don talked about earlier, we've done wind, we're working on data. After this, we're gonna be working on solar and battery storage. So if you have any thoughts about that, any concerns, you know, now's the time to be thinking about it. And we can work with that when we get to it.
Feel free to attend our meetings.
Okay, so
I
you
know that
just-
sometimes they can be a little bit
Dry.
Spell checks and so on.
Be afraid to put an application in to join a meeting or, you know, join a board or commission. We always have openings, so.
their meeting is 99.9% of the time, the third Monday at 7 o'clock.
Until time changes.
Until the time changes and then they go earlier.
It's
So,
Our next meeting date is.
August, or sorry, July.
yeah,
Yeah, July 20th.
July 20th.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the agenda is always out on the website also.
It is.
I got one question if I could.
Yep.
State your name. Larry Bartles, Monmouth Township. I never heard any financial gains for the county or anything like that, besides the big building, the big money's going into that, is it good for the county?
That's a
that's,
question for these guys.
yeah,
Not us.
Part of the reason. A lot of the ones that are coming in are like storage units or like shipping containers versions. Those are the actual Bitcoin data mining centers. Those are the smaller ones. Those are more attracted to rural communities like ours. They generate literally almost no property taxes. They use a lot of utilities and very little revenue comes back into the county. And there's slowly been thoughts we hear when we go to the state and different things about how they're trying to remedy that. Requiring buildings, different things like that, but they're evolving faster than, before we can understand what they are, they're evolving to the next thing. And so it's hard, we're always playing catch up and we're trying to be as educated and protected as we can in an ever-changing field, because I think even the people in the field, what they were trying to present to the Rowans last year is probably antiquated old technology and they've scrapped it all and they're moved on to something else because it's evolving that fast. So,
They'd like to tax them on the value of the equipment inside of that box car. but- Figure out how to do that.
or evidently, there's a lot of money in it with what you're hearing they're offering for land and all that stuff, so it just. how do you-
Sorry, not, but how I explained it to a couple people that asked me about it is, if I build a 60 by 100 machine shed. And Mike built a 60 by 100 machine shed, and he has 2 combines, 4 4-wheel drive tractors, and I have a pitching machine for my grandkids. The taxable value of that machine shed is the 60 by 100 machine shed, not what you're putting in it, so we don't get to tax them for their multi-million-dollar business that they're putting in that building.
And they have to build a building according to our ordinance, so.
That's the
Talk
easiest
about
way I
storage
can
container
explain
does
it.
not exist here.
Right.
And what I saw, there was several comments about the meeting and all that kind of stuff, and somebody asked, what are some of the goods that come out of this? And somebody jumped on, is like, every credit card transaction, every song you download, every video you watch, every time you go and upload your photos for whatever, you get on Facebook, your Snapchat, your Instagram, all of that is in the cloud. This supports the cloud. So when you say, well, I don't use it, it's literally impossible. Literally impossible. The whole world is going into the matrix, so to speak. And this is all just the crawl from that. And they're going anywhere and everywhere they can to support it. So we just trying to make sure we're looking out for our interests as best as possible. And that's what the zoning commission has done. So we tried to do with the moratorium. So we have breathing room to actually get a good ordinance so it can withstand the muster, so to speak, and be viable and protect us the best we can. Is it perfect? No, nobody up here will say it is. But it's the best we can do, and we're light years ahead of a lot of other counties that are playing catch up right now, and they don't know how to do it. So, there you go.
Could you extend the moratorium?
If we need to.
It seems like there's a lot of people interested in what I see as the next part of this. The next public hearing, maybe when the ordinance is having its public hearing.
Motion adjourned.
I guess. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
It's hot.
So moved.
Second, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much.